The software sector just had its worst sell-off since October 2008. In the past few months, we've seen a total demand for software companies. This sell-off is globally. No business in the sector are getting protected and investors keep only pushing prices down. SAP, Salesforce, Shopify, Intuit, Adobe, seems like these companies are just terminated and they keep melting. But what's going on? Well, in this video I'll try to explain exactly what's the current outlook for software stocks. It all wonders about one idea. Yes, you guessed it. AI. But first, we need to understand SaaS, or Software as a Service. The transition from traditional on-premise software to Software as a Service represents one of the most significant shifts in modern computing, moving the industry from a model of asset ownership to one of utility access. In the previous era, software was a physical product, a series of binaries burned onto a disk and installed it onto a local machine. This on-premise model forced companies to treat software as a capital expenditure, requiring massive upfront licensing fees and significant investment in local hardware to run and maintain the application. SaaS effectively dismantled this friction by moving its entire stack to the cloud. By hosting the software on centralized servers, providers can deliver functionality through a thin client, which is typically just a web browser. This means that heavy lifting of processing and data storage happens remotely, allowing the end user to access powerful tools from virtually any device with an internet connection. At the heart of the software as a service technical framework is the concept of a multi-tenancy. Unlike the old way of providing a unique copy of software for every client, a SaaS application serves multiple customers or tenants from a single shared instance of the code. While this may sound like a security risk, modern architecture uses logical partitioning to ensure that one company's data is never visible to another. The benefit of this approach is immense for the developer. It allows for a continuous delivery cycle. When a developer pushes an update, every single user of the platform receives it simultaneously. This eliminates the versioning hell that used to plague the industry, where half a company might be using an old version of a program, while the other half uses a new one. This efficiency creates a flywheel effect, where the cost of maintaining the software drops as the user base grows, allowing for more competitive pricing and rapid innovation. From a business perspective, software as a service transforms software into a predictable, recurring financial instrument. By shifting from a one-time purchase to a subscription model, companies move software costs from capital expenditures, CapEx, to operating expenditures, or OpEx. This lowers the barrier to entry for small businesses that couldn't afford $100,000 in upfront costs, but could easily afford $500 a month. For the providers, this created the holy grail of finance, monthly recurring revenue, or MRR. Instead of starting every fiscal year at zero, SaaS companies start with a base of existing subscribers. However, this model introduces a new risk, specifically churn, which measures the rate at which customers cancel their subscription. If the cost of acquiring a customer, the CAC, is higher than the total amount that they pay over the lifetime, or LTV, the business model collapses. This is why modern SaaS companies are obsessed with customer success. If the user doesn't find immediate and continuous value, the revenue stream vanishes instantly. The fundamental threat isn't just that AI makes coding faster, it's that artificial intelligence might take this software layer redundant. For 2 decades, software companies built systems of record, digital filing cabinets with a pretty UI, then monetize the friction of data entry and retrieval. Now, agentic AI systems can navigate APIs, synthesize data, and execute workflows. If an artificial intelligence can perform legal discovery or automate cybersecurity orchestration directly, the traditional software stack becomes a tax rather than a tool. Markets are pricing the possibility that the app layer is being hollowed out from the inside. side, software has historically been the ultimate long-duration asset. Investors were happy to pay 20 times revenue today because they believe that the moat or durable competitive advantage of switching costs and network effects would guarantee cash flow in 2035. Although AI has introduced a duration mismatch, when an LLM can write a legacy codebase over a weekend or migrate data between platforms with zero friction, the switching costs evaporate. If your moat is made of code, and code is now free, your terminal value is under siege. This is why we see multiple contraction. Investors are shortening their horizons, refusing to pay for a future that looks increasingly disruptable. Markets have moved from asking how fast can you grow to how long can you actually exist. For years, software was the asset light, high margins, low overhead, and infinite scalability. That narrative has flipped. To be competitive in the automated economy, software companies are no longer just hiring developers, they are competing for GPUs, power grids, and massive Intel centers footprints. This industrialization means software is beginning to look more like a utility or a heavy manufacturer. The high-margin magic of services is being traded for the grueling capital-intensive reality of infrastructure. We are witnessing a massive positioning unwind. The early AI hype lifted all boats, but the tide is now going out for companies that merely wrapped an API around an existing product. Capital is concentrated in the only place where the value is currently tangible, the physical layer. Investors are rotating out of software names, the miners, and into semiconductors, thermal management, and energy providers, the picks and shovels. This creates a massive divergence. While a few chip giants hit all new time highs, the broader software indices look like they're all in a private bear market. It is about of no confidence in the current application layer's ability to capture the value that the hardware layer is creating. But what's the narrative versus reality here? Markets are notoriously efficient at pricing fear before it shows up in a 10K. We're currently in the skepticism phase of the hype cycle. The initial wonder of look what this can do has been replaced by the cold calculation of whose shelves does this take and whose revenue does this cannibalize. This sell-off is a classic from running of fundamentals. The stock prices are falling because the uncertainty of the artificial intelligence first economy is higher than the certainty of current earnings. Historically, the bottom is only found when the narrative shifts from who survives to who thrives. And right now, the market is still stuck on the first question. How do you see the incumbent software giants responding? Will they be able to integrate AI fast enough to save their moat, or are they just building their tools for their own obsolescence? But are we currently seeing this? The answer is not even close. These companies are still obtaining huge returns on capital employed and growing double digits. Though, of course, the only thing that matters when valuing a business is the future cash flows. Guidance for future projects is still impressive. All these corporations are really experimented about market bearishness sentiment. If you take a close look, nobody denies that they are great ventures with high margins, huge free cash flow, and all of them are trading at tremendous low prices. Investors already know this. What everybody's discussing is, will these companies exist? So my view on this one is that I for sure don't know which ones are going to thrive, but the market ratios are pricing total demise, which is not guaranteed either, okay? AI will do everything. It's not a valid argument to justify that the business is dying. We're not even seeing that. All of the ones that I mentioned before have just increased their sales, customers, free cash flows, and even have extra money to keep buying shares back. In my opinion, disclaimer, not financial advice, if you consider that any of these will just live, not grow, but just to thrive, I think that they are deeply undervalued and now is the time to buy. Well, that's it for today. I appreciate you watching the entire video. If you like it, subscribe and hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, please tell me in the comments why so I could fix it for the upcoming videos. My name is Fausto Catalano and I'll see you soon.